The galaxy had forgotten the word human. It was an old whisper, a name mentioned only in jokes and children's stories. Some aliens said humans once existed, wild, dangerous, full of chaos. Others said they were never real, only a legend born from fear. In the Orion Union, where hundreds of species lived under the same law, the story of humans had become entertainment. Teachers used it to warn students about pride. Soldiers mocked it to boost confidence. Historians called it the greatest myth of the early galaxy. No one believed that humanity had ever ruled the stars. No one. Until the day the silence ended. On the shining world of Alindra Prime, Professor Tyrrell adjusted his glass monocle and stood before a hall of students. Behind him floated a hologram, a blurry picture of a blue-green planet. Today, he said proudly, we speak of humanity, a myth used by primitive colonies to explain early wars. The students laughed. One raised a tentacled arm. Professor, didn't they destroy themselves? Tyrrell smiled. If they ever existed, yes. A violent, emotional species. The galaxy is better without them. The class laughed louder. In that moment, the idea of humans felt like a fairy tale that had finally lost its last believer. But far away, beyond mapped space, a tiny probe drifted through the dark. Its hull was covered in dust and ice. It had been floating for 1,000 years, silent, forgotten, until a faint light blinked on its side. Ping. A signal woke up. The probe rotated slowly, its ancient sensors catching the echo of a command. The frequency was so old that modern scanners could not even read it. Still it transmitted. This is the Terran Beacon 1, humanity endures. The words repeated again and again, soft as a heartbeat. In a small salvage ship named the Rift Runner, an alien pilot called Rax Thule was searching for old wrecks near the edge of the Orion map. He was bored, half asleep, until his console began to blink. Unregistered signal, his AI said. Rax frowned. Show me, static filled the screen. Then a voice, broken but clear, cut through. If anyone hears this, humanity endures. Rax's blood ran cold. He had heard the word human only in stories told to scare children. He played the recording again. The same words. It felt impossible, but the signal was real, and it came from deep space far beyond the last known star. Rax hesitated. If he reported it, the Union would take the credit. If he went himself, he might die. But curiosity was stronger than fear. He changed course toward the unknown. 3 days later, the Union received the same transmission. At first, they thought it was interference. Then the message repeated across multiple networks. Commanders, politicians, and scientists all stared at one line of text. Source: Sol System. That name was forbidden in the archives, the supposed home of the humans. Admiral Korth, head of Union security, stood before a holographic map filled with red alerts. Sol System? That area was quarantined centuries ago, he said. A young officer nodded. Yes, sir. Records say it was destroyed in a stellar collapse. Then explain the signal, Korth growled. Within hours, a small fleet was prepared. 2 destroyers, a reconnaissance cruiser, and 12 drones. Their mission: investigate and confirm. When the fleet entered Sol space, the stars looked different, colder, quieter, heavy with the weight of time. As they passed through the asteroid belt, strange readings appeared. Metallic debris, energy traces, radiation patterns no scanner could identify. Sir, the officer said again, we're picking up structures near the 3rd planet. Earth? Someone whispered. The word felt foreign on their tongue. As they approached, the crew stared through the viewport. They expected a dead world, but the scanners showed movement, something massive in orbit, unidentified objects ahead. Shields up! The void shimmered like heat over sand, and then the darkness moved. Shapes began to appear, huge metallic silhouettes emerging from the shadows. At first, they looked like mountains drifting in the sky. Then the lights came on. Rows of glowing windows lined the sides of the ships. Engines rumbled silently. Each vessel was bigger than anything the Union had ever built. The lead ship's hull bore ancient letters. UNS Vanguard Admiral Korth felt his throat tighten. What is that thing? Human technology, sir, whispered the science officer. But that's impossible. These ships are thousands of years old. Before anyone could react, their radios crackled alive. A deep, calm voice filled the bridge, a voice speaking in Old Galactic Common. "This is the United Terran Fleet. You have trespassed in human space." Every officer froze. The translator confirmed it. Human language. Panic spread across the alien ships. Some tried to power weapons. Others ran scans, but before they could act, more shadows appeared. Dozens of them, rising from behind the moon. From the darkness, from nowhere. Old legends said humans fought like demons. Now the galaxy was about to remember why. A final message came through the comms, calm and cold. We were forgotten, but we never forgot. And with that, the stars lit up with the return of humanity. Silence filled the command bridge of Admiral Korth's flagship. The words echoed again through every channel, calm, steady, and deeply human. "This is the United Terran Fleet. You have trespassed in human space." No one moved. No one breathed. The crew stared at their screens, watching the impossible. Ships of a species that was supposed to be extinct. Their scanners were overwhelmed. Power readings were off the scale. Communication systems jammed themselves in confusion. Korth whispered, "Run a translation check again. Make sure it's not a trick." The AI replied, "No error detected, Admiral." Source confirmed. Language Ancient Terran Standard. He swallowed hard. "Open a line." Static hissed for a moment before Korth spoke. "This is Admiral Korth of the Orion Union. Identify yourselves. Humanity was declared extinct nearly 800 years ago." The voice on the other end didn't hesitate. "Your records are wrong. Humanity never died. We simply stopped answering." The crew stared at each other in disbelief. The Admiral leaned closer to the comm. "Prove it. Send your identification code." There was a pause. Then a sequence of tones filled the bridge, deep, mechanical, rhythmic. The ship system translated it instantly. "Terran Command Authorization, Alpha Prime." That code hadn't existed in any database for centuries. Yet here it was, alive and valid. Korth felt his hands tremble. The myth had just spoken back to reality. Across the fleet, tension spread like a virus. Soldiers whispered about the old stories, the ones their grandparents told them as warnings. Stories of a race that refused to bow to any empire, of humans who burned their enemies' fleets and vanished into the dark. "Admiral," one officer said nervously, "should we retreat?" Korth hesitated. "Not yet. I want to see what they want." He opened the transmission again. "This is Admiral Korth. We mean no harm. We only came to investigate an ancient signal." For a moment there was silence. Then the human voice replied, one still calm but colder now. "You came armed, Admiral. That is harm enough." A chill spread through every alien heart aboard the ship. Meanwhile, on the surface of the dead world below, Earth turned slowly under the distant sunlight. Once blue and green, it was now gray, quiet, frozen, scarred by the past. But hidden beneath the ashes, deep inside the old Terran command vaults, lights flickered to life. Massive machines hummed. Data flowed through networks that had slept for centuries. A figure walked through the dust-covered halls, human, armored, face unseen behind a black helmet. He stopped before a glowing console marked with the faded insignia, United Terran Defense Network. He placed his hand on it. The machine scanned his DNA, then spoke softly. "Welcome back, Commander Hale. Earth awaits your command." Hale looked up at the holographic display showing the alien ships in orbit. His voice was calm. "Let's remind the galaxy who we are." In orbit, Admiral Korth's ships detected power surges rising from Earth's surface. "Sir, something's activating down there." Korth frowned. "Weapons?" "No, sir. Structures. Entire cities lighting up." The holographic screen showed massive grids forming across continents, energy rising like veins of light. It was as if the planet itself was waking up. Then came the voice again, now broadcast on all frequencies across the sector. It wasn't a threat. It was a declaration. "This is Earth, we hear you. We remember you. To the Orion Union, you once mocked our name. Now you stand in the shadow of our return." The translation bot stuttered, trying to process the gravity of those words. Every alien in the fleet went silent. Some trembled. Others stared, unable to look away. Admiral Korth tried to speak, but the sound died in his throat. The communication officer whispered, "Sir, should we reply?" Korth nodded weakly. "Tell them we come in peace. The message was sent." But no answer came. Instead, radar alarms started flashing red, multiple contacts approaching fast. "Sir, they're coming from the far side of the moon." The Admiral ran to the viewport. From the shadow of the moon, hundreds of smaller ships emerged, sleek, dark, and deadly. They formed perfect lines escorting the 3 giant battleships. Each one bore the same white emblem, a single circle with a blue star inside. The human fleet was no myth. It was an army. Rax Thule, the scavenger who first found the signal, had followed the Union fleet secretly in his small ship. He floated at a safe distance, recording everything. His eyes widened as the human ships positioned themselves, not to attack but to block. The humans weren't trying to start a war. They were protecting something. Protecting home. Inside the Vanguard's command bridge, Commander Hale stood before the glowing hologram of the Earth. "Sir," said an officer beside him. The aliens seemed frightened. "They're transmitting peace signals." Hale looked at the display showing the Orion fleet. "Good. Let them be afraid." He turned to another officer. "Send a message back to everyone. Every station, every empire, every ship within range." The officer nodded. What should it say? Hale's lips curled into a faint smile. "Tell them the myth is over. Humanity has returned." Across the galaxy, thousands of relay stations suddenly activated. The same message repeated in every known language. "This is Earth. Humanity endures." Governments panicked. Armies scrambled. And for the first time in centuries, the stars themselves seemed to tremble with memory. High above the silent blue planet, the Terran fleet drifted like gods reborn, patient, watching, waiting. The galaxy had forgotten their name, but now, every world would remember it again. The galaxy did not sleep that night. Across thousands of worlds, screens lit up with one chilling broadcast. "This is Earth. Humanity endures." No one knew how it happened. No one knew where the message came from. But everyone knew one thing. The myths were real. In the shining towers of the Orion Union capital, the news spread faster than light. Officials shouted orders, ships were recalled, and panic rippled through the Senate. Every race, Trinari, Voln, Zerath, Kathi, spoke the same name with trembling voices. Humans, the same word that once caused laughter now caused silence. Because if the humans were truly back, every empire had reason to be afraid. On Elindra Prime, Professor Tyrell, who once mocked humanity in front of hundreds, sat frozen before his holoscreen. The broadcast replayed again. The voice was calm, deep, unshaken. "This is Earth. Humanity endures." He whispered to himself. It can't be. They were gone. Extinct, but deep inside. A part of him remembered the stories. Stories of endless wars, burning fleets, and a planet that refused to kneel. He finally understood. Myths don't die because they're false. They die because no one dares to believe them. Far across the stars, inside the Terran command ship Vanguard, Commander Hale watched multiple signals spreading like wildfire. He turned to his second-in-command, a woman named Captain Reyes. "Status of the Union fleet?" "They're holding position, sir." "No weapons locked. They're scared?" "Good," Hale said quietly. "Fear keeps them calm." Reyes hesitated. "Sir, do we reveal ourselves fully?" "Let them see the fleet?" "Not yet. Let the silence do the work. The galaxy needs time to remember who we are." He turned toward the viewport. Earth floated below, half lit, half shadow. Hale's reflection looked old, tired but unbroken. "We waited too long," he said softly. "Now they'll learn the price of forgetting." In orbit, the Orion Union fleet remained still. Admiral Korth's voice trembled as he spoke to his crew. "They're not attacking." "Why aren't they attacking?" No one had an answer. Every sensor still screamed with impossible readings. The human ships were ancient, but their energy signatures were beyond anything the Union had ever built. One officer whispered, "Sir, their technology, it's impossible. The material isn't even on the periodic index." Korth turned slowly. "You mean to tell me the myths advance beyond us while hiding in the dark?" The officer nodded weakly. "Yes, Admiral. It appears so." Korth looked out the viewport again. The stars felt smaller tonight. "May the void protect us," he murmured. Meanwhile, on the surface of the moon, the humans had already begun reactivation. Massive launch bays opened, revealing lines of sleek ships. black steel and blue light. Engines hummed quietly like beasts breathing before the hunt. Captain Reyes watched the data feed. Fleet 2 is waking up. That makes 6 operational squadrons. Hale nodded. Good. Begin testing weapons calibration. A young officer looked nervous. Sir, should we inform the galaxy of our intentions? Hale's eyes hardened. We already did. We said humanity endures. They'll decide what that means. Across the galaxy, the Orion Union convened an emergency meeting. In the circular Senate chamber, alien delegates shouted at one another. We must open communication. No, they'll destroy us. They have no claim to that sector. It's Union territory. You fools! That's their homeworld. The chamber dissolved into chaos until the high speaker struck the podium. Enough, we cannot fight legends. We must talk, an older delegate stood. His skin shimmered silver under the lights. Talk? To ghosts who build fleets larger than moons? They didn't die out, they hid. The speaker leaned forward. Then the question is, why come back now? No one answered. Because everyone already knew. If humanity returned, it wasn't for peace. It was because something was coming. Back aboard the Vanguard, Hale stared at a glowing map of the galaxy. Red lights marked human outposts once lost to time. Now one by one they flickered back to life. Reyes frowned. Sir, we're receiving pings from colonies we thought destroyed. Terran codes. Thousands of them. Hale nodded slowly. Then we're not alone anymore. Should we respond? Not yet. Let them prepare. The galaxy must see that humanity rises together. Not as conquerors, but as survivors. He paused. They mocked us, Reyes. They called us myths. But myths are just truths waiting for their return. Hours passed. The Union fleet still hovered near Earth's orbit, too frightened to leave, too proud to run. Suddenly, a voice broke through their comms again. Admiral Korth, it said. It was Commander Hale. Korth swallowed. This is Korth. State your intentions, human. Intention? Hale's tone was steady. We have none against you. But know this, the stars you claim were once ours. You erased our history. You erased our name. But you could not erase our will. Static filled the air for a moment. Then Hale added, leave now. And tell your leaders the humans of Earth have returned. Not as slaves. Not as stories. As the storm they forgot. The transmission ended. Korth looked pale. He turned to his officers. Prepare to leave orbit now. Sir, are we retreating? Korth didn't answer. His eyes remained on the massive ship outside the window, dark, silent, watching. As his fleet pulled away, he whispered, if this is only one of their fleets, what else is waiting out there? Down below, Earth's command centers continued to awaken. Satellites rose, orbital cannons rotated, and ancient AI systems reconnected. Humanity wasn't just returning to defend Earth. They were rebuilding an empire. Commander Hale looked at the stars, calm and determined. They thought fear would kill our name, he said quietly. Now fear will make them remember it. Behind him, the fleet's engines flared to life, hundreds of ships glowing in synchronized formation. For the first time in 1,000 years, the sky above Earth burned blue again. For days, the Orion Union stayed silent. Every channel that once laughed at humanity now broadcast nothing but fear. The words "they're back" spread through the stars like a virus. Merchants canceled trade routes near Sol. Explorers refused to go anywhere close to human-marked space. And every military command center whispered the same question. If this was only one human fleet, how many more are out there? Inside the Terran flagship Vanguard, Commander Hale stood before a wide holomap. Tiny blue dots blinked across it, the lost colonies. Hundreds of worlds once seeded by humanity, gone dark for centuries, now sending signals again. Captain Reyes stepped closer.
Sir, Colony Eden reports population recovery.
Arcadia's engines are active again. Even Luna's defense grid is online. Hale nodded slowly. They heard our call. He traced his finger over the glowing network of lights. Every forgotten child of Earth is waking up. Reyes looked at him. Should we unite them under one command? Hale's eyes hardened. No, not yet. We rise as whispers first. Let the galaxy wonder before it understands. Far beyond Sul, deep in Union space, the panic grew worse. Admiral Korth was called before the High Council. The chamber was enormous, full of alien senators, diplomats, and generals. The air smelled of fear and politics. The speaker's voice echoed. Admiral Korth, you were the first to encounter the human fleet. Report. Korth swallowed. They are real. Their ships are ancient, but their technology surpasses ours. They did not attack, but they made one thing clear. Earth is forbidden. A silver-skinned senator hissed. Then we must strike before they expand again. Another shouted, Strike? Against what? Ghosts who build warships the size of moons. The speaker raised a hand. Enough. We cannot afford panic. He turned to Korth. Can they be reasoned with? Korth thought for a long moment, then said quietly, You can reason with fear, speaker, but you cannot control it. The chamber fell silent, because everyone understood what he meant. Meanwhile, in a quiet sector near the border, a Union scout fleet intercepted strange readings. Dozens of massive ships moving silently between the stars. Their hulls had no markings, no transponders, no visible life signs. When they finally approached to scan one, the entire vessel unfolded like origami, revealing cannons larger than the scout ship itself. The Union ships vanished within minutes. Their final transmission contained 3 words. They found us. Hours later, fragments of wreckage drifted into neutral space, branded with one symbol, a blue circle around a white star, the mark of humanity. Back on Earth, Commander Hale stood in the central command tower overlooking the planet's atmosphere. Billions of lights shimmered below, the old cities reborn, power restored, oceans alive again. AI workers rebuilt entire continents in days. The Terran revival had begun. Captain Reyes joined him. Sir, the first civilian fleets are ready for launch. They want to reconnect with other colonies. Good, Hale said, but not all of them. Keep some in shadow. Let our enemies see only what we allow. Reyes nodded. Understood. The Old Earth Council also wants to send a diplomatic message to the Orion Union. Hale smirked. Diplomatic? They mocked us for centuries. They can wait. He turned away. No one speaks for humanity anymore. Not politicians. Not councils. Only the fleet. Across the galaxy, more Terran warships emerged from deep space. Silent, disciplined, glowing with cold blue light. Each ship carried history written in metal, names like Liberty, Horizon, Exodus, Resolute. They weren't new builds. They were old ghosts repaired by time itself. In one sector, a mining colony caught sight of a shadow crossing their sun. Their sensors broke. The shadow kept growing. When the light returned, the colony's entire moon was gone, and in its place floated the Terran dreadnought Helios Prime. Humanity wasn't just rebuilding. It was reclaiming the galaxy piece by piece. At Union command, chaos turned into desperation. Worlds started closing their borders. Some tried to form alliances. Others prepared weapons older than their history. But none of it mattered. Human broadcasts now echoed through every corner of the known universe. We are the children of Earth. You buried us. You mocked us. Now the forgotten have returned. Each message ended with the same line. Humanity endures. Professor Tyrell, the same alien who once laughed in front of his class, now spent every night reading old archives. He stared at the human words written thousands of years ago. Courage, unity, freedom, he whispered. They warned us. Not to forget them. For the first time, he felt something strange. Respect mixed with fear. He looked up at the stars and said quietly, If myths can return, what else waits in the dark? Back on the Vanguard, the atmosphere was calm but heavy. Reyes approached Commander Hale again. Sir, reports confirm several Union fleets retreating from nearby sectors. Their fear is spreading faster than our ships. Good, Hale said. But fear alone won't protect us. What we need now is unity. He walked to the center of the bridge where a holographic sphere displayed the entire galaxy. With one motion, Hale drew a circle around a cluster of systems. This was once the Terran Rim, our frontier before extinction. He paused. We take it back, Reyes nodded. All fleets are stealth only. Stealth, Hale said. Let them see glimpses, shadows, rumors. Let the legend grow before the truth lands. As the human fleet prepared for deployment, the command deck lights dimmed. Old Terran flags were projected across every ship, symbols unseen for centuries. Crew members stood silently as the old anthem began to play. Its words were ancient, but every soldier knew them by heart. From ashes we rise, from silence we return, from darkness we remember. The bridge lights glowed blue again. Commander Hale raised his hand. Fleet command, engage. Engines ignited. Dozens of Terran warships moved in unison, fading into the stars like silent predators. For the first time in 1,000 years, the galaxy wasn't sure who ruled the skies anymore. The galaxy had changed overnight. Trade routes fell silent. Empires grew paranoid. Every world that once mocked humanity now trembled at the thought of their return. But for humanity, the war had never ended. It had only gone silent. Inside the Terran command ship Vanguard, Commander Hale watched an ancient recording, black and white footage from the last war before Earth vanished. It showed human ships surrounded, fighting alone against the combined fleets of alien empires. Static, explosions, a final broadcast. If humanity falls, make them remember why we fought. The screen went dark. Captain Reyes stepped beside him. Sir, we've confirmed new signals. Dozens of hidden Terran bunkers awakening across deep space. Hale nodded slowly. Good. Each one carries the fire we left behind. He looked out through the viewport where hundreds of human ships hung silent above Earth like steel stars. Reyes, he said softly, to them this is new, but to us, the war never stopped. Far beyond Sol in the cold stretch of Orion space, Union Command struggled to maintain control. Admiral Korth stood before a wall of holograms. Governors, generals, and ministers shouting in panic. They're reactivating old colonies. Entire fleets disappearing from our sensors. Even the fringe worlds are joining them. Korth finally raised his hand. Enough. We can't fight a legend. The room fell silent. He continued, we need to understand what they want. If humanity wanted conquest, they would have attacked by now. A voice from the corner replied coldly, maybe they're waiting until we turn on each other. And in truth, that's exactly what was happening. Fear was eating the Union from within. Meanwhile, small groups of humans, survivors, descendants, and clones, began to appear across the stars. Some arrived as traders, bringing medicine and old Earth technology. Others appeared as silent soldiers, black-armored, nameless, never explaining who sent them. Wherever they went, peace followed. And so did rumors. The humans protect what's theirs. Don't cross them. They see everything. The legend was no longer a story. It was an empire being rebuilt in shadows. On the Vanguard, Commander Hale stood before the Terran Council hologram, ancient AIs preserving the memories of humanity's leaders. Their ghostly faces flickered in blue light. Commander Hale, said the AI of General Stroud, our data shows Orion mobilizing 1,000 ships. Do we strike first? Hale shook his head. No, let them come. We will not start this war. We will finish it. Another AI, the voice of old Earth's last president, spoke softly. You believe they will attack again? Hale's eyes darkened. They never stopped. Far away in a system near the Union frontier, a lone Terran scout ship drifted among asteroids. Its pilot, Lieutenant Arya Vance, adjusted her sensors. Command, I've got multiple warp trails and large fleet heading towards Sol. Marking signatures. Orion Union, static filled her headset. Say again? She spoke faster. They're moving toward Earth. Massive formation, hundreds of destroyers and carriers. Then her radar flared red. An Orion battle group emerged from hyperspace. Missiles streaked across the void. Arya gritted her teeth. If they want war, her ship turned, engines burning bright. Then they'll get it. She fired her distress beacon, the same emergency code used during the last human war. A signal not heard in 1,000 years. On Earth, alarms blared through the command towers. Captain Reyes ran toward the control deck. Sir, Orion fleet inbound. They've crossed the neutral zone. Commander Hale stood still, calm, like a man who had been waiting for this moment all his life. How long until contact? 6 hours, maybe less. Hale nodded once. Then we end the silence, he turned to his crew. Activate Protocol Exodus. Every officer froze. Reyes looked at him in shock. Sir, that will wake all fleets. Exactly, Hale said. It's time the galaxy remembers the full strength of humanity. Moments later, signals shot across the stars, invisible to all but Terran receivers. In distant sectors, hundreds of hidden human fleets awakened. Engines hummed. Cannons powered. AI systems came alive after a millennium of sleep. From the dark edges of known space, the forgotten fleet began to move. Ships larger than cities broke through dust clouds and hyperspace tunnels. Each one bore scars from the last war. Old burns, missing plates, battle flags fluttering in vacuum. but they were alive. Meanwhile, Admiral Korth prepared his own fleet. He stared at the reports. "So it begins again," he whispered. A young officer asked, "Sir, what are your orders?" Korth sighed. "Pray they remember mercy." Hours later, the Orion fleet reached the edge of Sol space. They expected silence. Instead, they found light. Blinding, endless light. Across the void, 1,000 Terran warships stood ready. Their formation was perfect, their engines pulsing like one beating heart. From dreadnoughts to cruisers, from carriers to stealth ships, all marked by the same emblem, a blue star surrounded by white, humanity's symbol. Admiral Korth's mouth went dry. By the void, the sensors struggled to measure the sheer power in front of them. Then came a voice through the comms, deep, clear, and steady. "This is Commander Hale of the United Terran Fleet. You have crossed into forbidden space. No threats. No shouting. Just a calm warning. Turn back now. We remember mercy once. Do not make us forget it again." For a moment, even space itself felt still. Korth hesitated, then ordered, "Hold position." But one nervous captain didn't listen. A missile fired. A mistake. In the next second, the entire Orion battleship disappeared, erased by a single beam of blue light. No explosion. No debris, just silence. The message was clear. Humanity did not bluff. Across the galaxy, every world watching through relay satellites saw it happen. One mistake, one shot, and an empire learned fear again. Commander Hale lowered his hand. "Send them home," he said quietly. The human fleet held position. No invasion, no massacre, just silent strength. Because for humanity, victory was never about destruction. It was about memory. As the Orion fleet retreated, Hale looked toward the stars and whispered, "The war never ended. It only waited for us to come home." The light from the human ships reflected in his eyes like the fire of a new dawn. The war never truly began, yet the entire galaxy felt its echo. No shots were fired after that single beam of light. The Orion Union retreated in silence, and the stars over Earth glowed once more with calm blue fire. For the first time in 1,000 years, humanity stood unchallenged. But Commander Hale knew peace was not victory. It was only balance, fragile, temporary, trembling in the dark. Inside the command bridge of the Terran flagship Vanguard, the air was still. Screens displayed the withdrawal of alien fleets, their jump signatures fading one by one. Captain Reyes broke the silence. "Sir, they're gone. Not a single ship remains within Sol." Hale didn't smile. He simply exhaled. "They'll return. Fear always does." He walked toward the viewport. Below him lay Earth, alive again, oceans glittering under dawn, continents glowing with rebuilt cities. It looked peaceful, but peace was never what humans trusted. Across the galaxy, the message of humanity's return had already reached every corner. On desert moons, miners whispered the human words like prayers. In alien academies, teachers erased old jokes from their lessons. Even the Orion Council debated behind closed doors, afraid to even say the name human. The myth had become a presence, invisible, unstoppable, and alive. Meanwhile, on Earth's moon, engineers finished restoring the old Terran array, a massive ring of transmitters once used to reach deep space. Each tower now pointed outward, waiting for a signal. Commander Hale watched the technicians from the balcony above. Reyes stepped beside him. "Sir, you requested the array's activation. Are we sending another warning?" Hale shook his head slowly. "Not a warning. A memory," Reyes frowned. "To whom?" "To whoever comes after us," Hale replied. "The galaxy forgets too easily. Let's make sure it never does again." Hours later, the array powered up. Blue arcs of light danced across the structure as ancient servers hummed awake. For a moment, the entire sky above Luna shimmered, and then the broadcast began. "This is Earth, the voice of humanity. We send this message not as conquerors, but as witnesses." Across star systems, the signal spread, unstoppable, repeating, eternal. "We remember the wars you forced upon us. We remember the silence you left us in. We remember the laughter when you called us myths." Hale's voice continued, calm and steady. "We do not seek revenge. We seek remembrance. So when your children look to the sky and wonder what power sleeps beyond the stars, tell them the truth. Tell them we were here." The transmission carried not threats, but truth. Images of old Earth, of cities, oceans, faces, families, children laughing under sunlight. It showed humanity not as monsters, but as people who refused to die. In the Orion Union capital, the message played in every hall. Crowds gathered, silent, eyes fixed on the screens. Even Admiral Korth stood frozen as Hale's face appeared, calm, unbroken, human. Korth whispered, "He isn't warning us. He's teaching us." And across 100 worlds, that single thought settled like gravity. Back on the Vanguard, Reyes watched the data feed. "Sir, the transmission is being received on every open channel. Even hostile networks are mirroring it." "Good," Hale said quietly. "Truth spreads faster than fear." She hesitated. "What happens now, Commander? Do we stand guard, expand?" Hale turned toward the stars. "No, we disappear again." Reyes blinked. "Disappear?" He nodded. "Let the legend live longer than the fleet. If we stay, they'll fear us. But if we vanish, they'll remember us." He tapped the console. "All ships prepare for silent jump. Destination classified." Moments later, the entire Terran fleet aligned in orbit. Engines glowed blue. Hulls gleamed like blades against the void. The anthem of old Earth played one last time through the comms. Slow, proud, unbroken. From ashes we rise, from silence we speak, from darkness we endure. One by one, the ships faded into hyperspace, leaving nothing but trails of light curling across the heavens. When the last spark vanished, Earth's night returned to peace. Weeks passed. No human broadcasts, no new sightings. The galaxy began to breathe again, but it never forgot the feeling of being watched. Children on distant planets pointed to the sky and asked, "Are the humans real?" Their parents answered, "They are. And they are watching." Trade resumed. The Orion Union rebuilt its courage, but no one dared to enter Sol again. Maps now marked it with a single warning: Terran space, do not enter. Inside a small museum on Elindra Prime, Professor Terrell recorded his last lecture. On his screen was the human message, frozen on the final frame, Hale's calm face. Terrell looked into the camera and said quietly, "The myth is no myth at all. Humanity was never destroyed. They simply waited until we became the monsters." He paused, voice shaking. "Perhaps that is their greatest weapon. Patience." He ended the recording and stared at the stars outside. Somewhere out there, he imagined the humans were still watching, still waiting. Years later, deep in an uncharted system, a young explorer discovered an ancient beacon floating near a dead sun. Its lights flickered weakly and a cracked inscription ran across its surface. He brushed the dust away and read the words carved in metal. "Here sleeps the Terran fleet. Do not awaken the myths again." As he floated back to his ship, the beacon blinked once, sending a short pulse into the darkness, a final whisper that rippled across the void. Humanity endures. And somewhere far away, perhaps watching, perhaps dreaming, Commander Hale stood before a vast ocean on a hidden world, wind brushing against his armor. He looked up at the stars, calm, endless, full of ghosts. He spoke softly, not to anyone, but to everything. "We never wanted to rule the galaxy. We only wanted to be remembered." He turned and walked toward the horizon. Behind him, the waves whispered the same ancient truth the universe had learned too late. The humans were real, and they never truly left.